Would you ever fall in love with someone who howls under the full moon? What if your true mate thirsts for blood, and his love might just kill you? Hey, lovers of passion and mystery. Welcome back to the Snap of Two Hearts. Today, you're about to dive into a hauntingly beautiful paranormal romance full of forbidden love, supernatural secrets, and a love story that's to die for. Like this video if you're into werewolves and romantic thrillers. Drop your favorite paranormal creature in the comments. Subscribe to the Snap of Two Hearts so you never miss a single heart-pounding episode. And if this inspires you to write your own story, tell us in the comments. We might turn your idea into the next viral tale. Emily Hart didn't believe in monsters. Not until she met one. It started on a stormy October night when her car broke down at the edge of Ravenwood Forest. With no cell signal and rain soaking her blouse, she sprinted through the trees searching for shelter. She stumbled onto a narrow cabin hidden among the mist. A place that shouldn't exist, like something out of a fever dream. Inside, a fire burned. The air was thick with the scent of pine, smoke, and musk. And that's when she saw him. A man? No, a creature of a man, shirtless, his muscles rippling under firelight, scars branding his skin like ancient symbols. His eyes glowed an unnatural icy blue. Wet hair dripped over his shoulders. He looked at her, lips curled in amusement. "Lost little thing," he said, voice rough and low. "You shouldn't be here." Emily backed against the door, breathless. But something inside her didn't scream danger. It screamed desire. "I didn't mean to intrude," she whispered. "I just needed somewhere dry." He moved toward her slowly, like a predator stalking prey, until he was inches away. She could feel the heat of his body, the raw power pulsing beneath his skin. He brushed a strand of hair from her face. "You smell like rain," he murmured. "And trouble." Her heart thundered. She should leave. She should run. But instead she found herself saying, "Who are you?" He hesitated, then answered, "Lucian." His fingers grazed the curve of her neck, sending a shiver down her spine. "Stay," he whispered, "just for tonight." She stayed. Maybe it was the storm. Maybe it was the hunger in his eyes that mirrored her own. Lucian gave her a towel and a warm drink, but it wasn't long before the air between them turned electric. He stood behind her as she dried her hair, his hands brushing her shoulders, his breath on her skin. She turned around slowly, looking up into his eyes. Lucian's hand slid to her lower back, pulling her close. "You have no idea what I am," he growled, voice trembling with restraint. "Then show me," she said, her voice soft and bold. He hesitated, chest rising fast. Then he kissed her, hard. His lips were fire and hunger, stealing her breath. She wrapped her arms around his neck as he lifted her effortlessly and placed her on the wooden table. Clothes fell to the floor in silence. His touch was rough but reverent, his mouth exploring every inch of her like a man starved. She gasped as he kissed her neck, her collarbone, her thighs, everywhere but where she craved him most. "You don't know what you're asking for," he said, voice cracked with lust. "I can't hold back forever." "Then don't," she begged, her nails dug into his shoulders as he finally gave in. Their bodies collided with primal need, moans mixing with the howling wind outside. He was impossibly strong, but careful, treating her like something precious even as his control frayed. Her back arched, legs wrapped around him, the rhythm between them matching the storm outside. Every thrust brought her closer to a pleasure she didn't know existed. He groaned her name like a sacred word, and when she shattered beneath him, her cry echoed through the forest. After, they lay tangled by the fire. She traced the scars across his chest, her fingers gentle. "What are you, Lucian?" He stared into the flames. "Cursed," he whispered. Born of blood and betrayal. She touched his cheek. But you're still human. Here? He looked at her then, something tortured and tender in his eyes. No, he said. I'm not. But when I'm with you, he paused, voice breaking. I feel like I could be. Outside, the rain had stopped. But inside that cabin, a storm had just begun, one made of love, lust, secrets, and the kind of danger no woman should crave. But Emily wasn't just any woman, and Lucien was far more than just a monster. Emily awoke wrapped in Lucien's arms, her body sore in the most delicious way. The early morning sun filtered through the dusty cabin window, illuminating his sculpted chest and that raw, possessive look still smoldering in his half-lidded eyes. Morning, she whispered, her voice still hoarse from the night's cries. Lucien kissed her shoulder and pulled her tighter against him. I didn't dream, he murmured, voice low and rough. Because you were real. Then he pinned her beneath him, his weight warm, heavy, and familiar now. His fingers traced every place he'd claimed her, brushing over her thighs, her breasts, the tender spot behind her ear. You should run, he whispered, voice vibrating with conflict. But if you stay, I won't be able to stop needing you. She didn't run. Instead, she kissed him, slow, deep, and deliberate. Their lips tangled in lazy hunger, reigniting the fire from the night before. He groaned into her mouth, hands roaming her body as though trying to memorize it all over again. The soft blanket slipped from her body as she straddled him, heat blooming between her legs at the feel of his hardness beneath her. Lucien's eyes darkened. Emily, he warned, but she silenced him with her hips, moving slowly, deliberately, teasing him until he lost control. In one savage, beautiful motion, he flipped her beneath him again and claimed her like the wild creature he was, growling her name, biting her neck gently, worshipping her body like she was the moon he howled for. Their rhythm was primal, his thrusts deep and demanding, her cries echoing against the cabin walls. She clawed at his back, arching into his every movement, whispering his name like a spell. You make me lose myself, he growled. You don't know what you're doing to me. I want all of it, she panted. Even the monster. Lucien froze for a second, his eyes glowing. Then he leaned down, kissing her roughly. Then you'll have all of me, he vowed. His hand slid between her legs, making her gasp again as he took her to the edge, then over and over again, until the line between human and beast blurred in every thrust and moan. Afterward, they lay breathless and damp with sweat, their bodies tangled in a mess of limbs and tangled sheets. The room smelled of sex, pinewood, and secrets. You don't know what you've done, Lucien finally whispered into her hair. She looked up, confused. His expression was no longer hungry, but haunted. I marked you, he said. Her brows furrowed. Marked? Lucien nodded slowly. When a werewolf mates, truly mates, there's a bond that's formed. A claim. I didn't mean to, but I couldn't stop. Emily touched the faint red mark on her neck. It burned faintly now, tingling under her fingertips. So what does that mean? She whispered. It means we're connected. Mind, body, soul. His eyes darkened further. It means if anyone touches you, I'll kill them. And it means, if you ever leave me, I'll feel it like a wound. She sat up, the reality hitting her like a storm. She should be terrified, but instead her heart raced with excitement. So I belong to you now? She asked, voice trembling. Lucien nodded once solemnly. Yes. And I belong to you. She reached for him again, pulling him back down into her arms. Then don't ever let me go. Their lips met once more, softer this time, but no less passionate. The fire between them had turned into something else now. Not just lust, but longing, craving, need. and somewhere in the woods beyond, a howl echoed, warning, watching, waiting. Because when a werewolf claims a mate, the world changes. Enemies rise, rivals emerge, and love becomes a battlefield soaked in blood and moans. Emily stared at her reflection in the cracked mirror above the cabin sink. The mark on her neck had deepened overnight, its scarlet edges glowing faintly beneath her skin. Her fingertips grazed it. It pulsed like a second heartbeat, connected not to her veins, but to him. From the bedroom, she heard Lucian's soft breathing. The Alpha was asleep, momentarily vulnerable, and yet still completely dominating the space. She could still feel him inside her, like the memory of fire in her core. She wasn't just his lover now. She was his bonded mate, and as terrifying as it sounded, part of her wanted to be consumed by it all over again. She returned to bed quietly, slipping beneath the sheets. Lucian stirred, instantly wrapping his arms around her. "You left me," he murmured against her neck. "Don't ever do that again." She turned in his arms and found herself crushed beneath his body once more. But this time, it wasn't desperate. It was slow, intimate, and maddeningly teasing. His lips found her collarbone. "You belong here." "I know," she gasped as his hands slid down her thighs, spreading her open with ease. "Then show me," he whispered. He took his time. Fingers, tongue, teeth. Her body writhed under him as he built her up with skilled patience, letting her hover right on the edge of bliss before finally thrusting into her with a deep guttural groan that made her toes curl. They moved as one, slick skin against skin, her moans rising with each thrust until they echoed through the cabin. He pinned her hands above her head, his eyes glowing fiercely as he pushed deeper, harder. "Say it!" he growled. "Say you're mine! I'm yours, Lucian!" she cried, trembling from the pleasure rippling through her body. Their climax hit like a storm, violent, euphoric, all-consuming. He collapsed against her, panting hard, lips brushing her shoulder. "You're my undoing," he murmured, "and I'll destroy anything that tries to take you away." Later that day, the air shifted. The wind carried a scent Lucian instantly recognized. Another werewolf. Not just any, a rival alpha. His jaw clenched as his senses flared. "Get dressed," he ordered, voice sharp. "We're not alone." Emily, still flushed and weak from their lovemaking, scrambled into her clothes. "Who is it?" Lucian didn't answer immediately. Instead, he stepped outside, his bare chest exposed, his stance full of fury. From the tree line, a tall, silver-eyed man emerged. He had the same power radiating off him, but it wasn't warm like Lucian's. It was cold, cruel, calculating. "Brother?" the man greeted with a mocking smile. Lucian's entire body tensed. "Damon!" Emily stepped beside him, and Damon's gaze flicked to her. "So this is the little human?" His voice was like ice. "You claimed her?" Lucian growled low in his throat. "She's mine!" Damon chuckled. "Then you've broken the pact. No human mates. You know the law." Emily grabbed Lucian's hand. "What's going on?" Lucian didn't take his eyes off Damon. "If they find out I bonded with a human, they'll come for us. All of them." Damon licked his lips. "Don't worry, brother. I'll make sure she's taken care of. After you're dead." The air exploded with tension. The mate bond wasn't just forbidden, it was a death sentence. And now the true hunt had begun. Lucian slammed Damon into a tree, fangs bared, claws digging into his brother's shoulder. "If you touch her, I will end you," he snarled. Damon only laughed, unfazed by the pain. "You already ended yourself the moment you marked her." Emily stood frozen, watching two alpha predators on the verge of bloodshed. Her heart thundered, not out of fear, but from the fierce protection she saw in Lucian. She'd never been claimed so completely, loved so savagely. The mate bond didn't just tie them physically, it was spiritual, primal, and unstoppable. Lucian pushed back. "You're not here alone." Damon's smirk widened. "The council wants to see her, tonight. And if you don't bring her, they'll rip through this forest until they do." Night fell like a curse. The trees whispered warnings, and the wind smelled of judgment. Lucian took Emily to an underground spring deep within the woods, steam rising from the heated water. "This is the only place they can't hear us," he said, pulling her into the warmth. The second her skin touched the water, it was as if their bond reignited. His hands slipped around her waist, mouth trailing kisses down her shoulder. "If they want to take you," he murmured, voice dark, "they'll have to tear me apart first." She turned in his arms, chest to chest. "Then give me something they'll never steal." Lucian growled softly, lifting her onto the rocks at the water's edge. The steam swirled around their bodies as he kissed her deeply, thrusting into her with a possessive hunger that made her gasp. Her nails clawed into his back, his grip bruising her hips as their bodies moved with primal rhythm. The springs echoed with the sound of skin on skin and her broken cries of pleasure. "I love you," she whispered, overwhelmed. Lucian paused, burying his face in her neck. "Say it again." "I love you, Lucian." He kissed her then, slow, emotional, devastating. "Then let's do the ritual. Bind us for real." "What ritual?" she asked breathlessly. Lucian's expression hardened. "The ritual of flames, a forbidden rite. We'll be bonded forever, but if the council finds out, they'll burn us both alive." Emily swallowed. "I'd rather burn with you than live without you." They returned to the cabin, blood moon rising high. Lucian drew symbols around the bed with crushed sage and wolfsbane. He stood naked under the red light, tribal markings glowing across his chest. "Once we do this, you'll be mine for eternity." Emily walked toward him, dropping her robe, firelight dancing across her skin. "Then take me." He lifted her onto the bed like a goddess. Their bodies met again, this time with ritualistic intention. Every thrust, every kiss, every moan was echoed by the moon above. Their climax triggered the runes to ignite in crimson flame, swirling around them like embers of fate. Their souls fused under the burning sky. The mate bond was now irreversible, but the moment they collapsed together, spent and entwined, the cabin shook. The flames flickered out. "They know," Lucian said darkly. From the tree line, a pack of werewolves approached, cloaked in black, eyes glowing, bearing the sigil of the council. Damon stood at the front. "You've committed the ancient sin," he said coldly, "and you know the punishment." Lucian stood, shielding Emily's naked body with his. "You'll have to go through me." Damon smiled cruelly. "We planned to." The lovers had made their vow, and now the world was ready to tear it apart. The moonlit clearing echoed with growls. Emily clung to Lucian's back, his muscles tensing as the black-cloaked wolves advanced. Damon raised his hand. "Seize them, but bring her alive!" Lucian bared his fangs, eyes flickering silver. "Over my dead body!" He charged. The clash of alphas shook the night. Fangs tore flesh, claws raked bone. Emily scrambled toward the edge, heart hammering as Lucian tackled two wolves at once. But Damon was too fast. In a blur, he pinned Emily to a tree, breath hot on her neck. "You don't know what you are, little flame! You don't know the poison that runs in your veins!" Before she could scream, Lucian's snarl cut through the air, and Damon was thrown off her like a rag doll. Emily collapsed into Lucian's arms, shaking, breathless, alive. But her skin glowed faintly red, and her eyes shimmered unnaturally under the moonlight. "What is happening to me?" she whispered. Lucian's eyes widened. No, it can't be. You're not just human, Damon gasped, bloodied but smiling. She's the one, the last of the Blood Moon witches. They fled the battleground, Lucian dragging her through the forest. Branches whipped past as their blood mingled, his from wounds, hers from an ancient curse. He brought her to a ruined stone chapel hidden beneath vines. Inside, torches lit themselves as she passed. Tell me the truth, she begged, grabbing his hand. What am I? Lucian couldn't meet her eyes. Your mother was one of them. A Blood Moon witch. She mated with a human, but she was hunted down before she could raise you. And me? You're the last of her line? Your power is sealed, but now that we completed the ritual of flames, you unlocked it. Suddenly, a searing pain split her chest. She fell to her knees, glowing sigils erupting across her skin. Lucian held her, his lips at her ear. It's okay, baby. Let it burn through you. I'm here. Through the agony, her magic surged, and she exploded in light. When it faded, she hovered inches above the stone floor. Naked, glowing, divine, Lucian dropped to his knees. You're not just mine, you're power itself. Later, when the magic calmed, Lucian carried her to a bed made of moss and fur in the chapel's hidden crypt. The walls pulsed with warmth as he laid her down reverently. Her body ached, raw from power, from lust, from everything as she was becoming. I can't stop wanting you, he whispered, crawling between her legs, kissing his way up. Then don't, she whispered back. They made love slowly, tenderly at first, his fingers tracing every rune on her skin like ancient poetry. But soon the fire surged again, her back arched, hips rising to meet him, moans turning into chants. Every thrust ignited her powers, and every kiss was laced with primal magic. Their bodies tangled in a dance of need and madness, sweat slicking their skin. Her nails carved into his shoulders as she climaxed with a scream that cracked the stone walls. Lucian followed with a howl, his seed branding her womb with an unbreakable bond. I'm yours, she gasped, and I'll destroy the world for you, he growled, licking blood from her collarbone. But the peace was brief. As they lay tangled in the afterglow, a dark shadow entered the chapel. It was her. The one they called Lilitha, a crimson-robed seer of the council, eyes black as coal. So, the forbidden lovers consummate under sacred stone, she hissed. Emily sat up, still glowing. Who are you? I am the gatekeeper to your fate. With a flick of her hand, Lucian was frozen in place mid-snarl. Emily rose, hair flowing like flame. Let him go! Lilitha circled her. Your bloodline should have died, but now you carry the mark. And his child? Emily's eyes widened. I'm pregnant? Lilitha grinned cruelly. And that child is prophesied to kill us all. Rage exploded inside Emily. The air shimmered. Power surged. She screamed, and every torch burst into blue fire. Lilitha recoiled, hissing, but Emily marched forward, barefoot, naked, divine. You touch him, you touch my child, you die? The seer vanished into shadows, but her whisper lingered. They'll come for you, Witch Queen. Lucian stumbled forward as the freeze spell broke. He touched her belly, trembling. A baby? She nodded tearfully. We made a life! He pulled her into his arms, shaking. Then I'll burn every council to ash before I let them take you from me. They kissed beneath the sacred ceiling, no longer just lovers, now protectors. A king and queen of a forbidden prophecy. And the war was only beginning. Emily lay on a bed of ancient moss inside the stone crypt, her fingers brushing the curve of her belly. The news of her pregnancy echoed in her mind like a war drum. She was going to be a mother, carrying a child conceived in wild heat during a full moon, under a blood ritual. Her bloodline, the Blood Moon Witches, was thought extinct, but now her womb pulsed with power. Lucian sat beside her, half naked, with a faraway look in his glowing silver eyes. His hand slid down her arm, then gently over her stomach. "I can feel him," he whispered. "Or her, a heartbeat full of fire." She turned to face him, eyes wet. "They'll come for us. I saw it in the seer's eyes. They'll want this baby dead." Lucian didn't flinch. "Then we kill anyone who dares try." But the weight of destiny loomed heavy, and the only thing fiercer than their enemies was their craving for each other. That night, the hunger returned. Emily couldn't sleep. Her body burned, her thighs slick with anticipation. She rolled toward Lucian, her breath ragged, heart pounding. "I need you," she whispered. "Now!" Lucian didn't need more. He pounced on her like a starved beast, their mouths colliding with urgent fury. He ripped her shirt, exposing her breasts, his lips wrapping around her nipples, biting, sucking, growling. Her legs wrapped around his waist. She arched beneath him, crying out as he thrust inside her, deep, slow at first, then with the urgency of a wolf in heat. The bed creaked. Moss and ancient vines shifted with their rhythm. Magic buzzed in the air as her powers surged with each moan. Their bond deepened with every breathless climax. Sweat and magic mingled. And when he came, roaring her name, the chapel trembled from the force of their connection. "I love you," she gasped, "even if it kills us." Lucian cupped her face. "Then we'll die in flames, together." Morning came, and with it, a warning. Blood streaked across the entrance of the crypt. A mark scorched into the stone. "The council knows." Emily clutched Lucian's arm. "They're coming!" Lucian snarled, eyes blazing. "Let them! I'll tear them apart!" But there was someone else approaching. Someone unexpected. A tall, striking woman with eyes like burning coals emerged from the woods. She wore a cloak of raven feathers and bore the mark of the High Witch. "Seraphina!" Emily gasped. "My aunt!" The woman approached cautiously. "You've awakened the child, Emily. But there's something you need to know. The child you carry is a hybrid unlike anything we've seen. He will be hunted, desired. And if you lose control, he may not be born a savior. He may be born a god of death." Lucian stepped forward. "Then teach us how to protect him." Seraphina nodded slowly. "But the path requires blood, sacrifice, and abstinence." Emily blinked. "What do you mean, abstinence?" "No more sex until the rite of protection is complete, or your powers will consume your unborn child." Lucian groaned. "You've got to be fucking kidding me." The tension between them became unbearable. One day passed, then two. Each night they lay side by side, unable to touch. Emily's body screamed for his, her breasts ached, her thighs trembled, her dreams were soaked in wet moans and phantom pleasure. Lucian wasn't much better. He'd go for midnight runs in the woods just to stop himself from claiming her, but every time she whispered his name or brushed her fingers over his chest, he'd nearly lose it. On the third night, she stood before him naked, defiant. "I don't care what Seraphina said. I need you. I can't." Lucian shoved her against the stone wall, teeth grazing her throat. "Don't tempt me. You think I don't want to bury myself in you until we both pass out?" Her hand slid down his abs, teasing. "Then do it." But he stopped, breathless, tortured. "If I hurt our child, I'll never forgive myself," he growled. Emily kissed his lips softly, painfully. "Then promise me, when this ritual is over, you'll ruin me completely." He licked her lips. "That, my queen, is a promise." The ritual began that midnight. Candles surrounded them in a circle of flame. Seraphina stood in the center, chanting in a tongue older than time. Emily, robed in red silk, stood between two wolves, Lucian on her left, and her unborn child's magic pulsing to her right. Blood dripped from her palm into a chalice. Lucian added his. Their energies fused in the air, creating a halo of fire. Suddenly, a bolt of dark energy shattered the altar. The council had arrived. Dozens of black-robed figures emerged from the mist, chanting, arms raised. Seraphina screamed, "Protect her!" Lucian transformed midair, launching at the nearest attackers. Emily was dragged into the center of the circle by Seraphina. "You must finish the ritual. Say the vow." Emily clutched her belly, magic pulsing. "By blood, by moon, by fire and soul, I vow to protect this life with mine." A massive explosion burst from her chest, incinerating the first wave of council guards. And as the smoke cleared, Lucian stood beside her, bloody, furious, loyal. "You're not alone, love. Let them come." Smoke curled from the burning trees as the remnants of the council's first attack scattered into the night. Lucian stood shirtless, his claws dripping with blood, eyes locked on Emily as if she were the only light left in his world. Emily's body trembled, not from fear, but from the overwhelming power that surged through her veins. The ritual had awakened something ancient inside her. The child she carried throbbed with life, his energy curling around her womb like a storm waiting to erupt. She turned to Lucian, voice hoarse. "They won't stop. They'll send more." Lucian wiped blood from his jaw, then pulled her into his arms. "Then we run, Emily. Tonight, we disappear." But Emily didn't move. "Number, we don't run anymore." Her eyes glowed gold. Her aura shimmered. "We fight." And then she kissed him. Hard. Reckless. Their lips met with wild hunger, her hands sliding down his blood-stained chest, gripping his waist. His mouth devoured hers with unrelenting heat. Clothes were torn away in seconds. The world could burn. Hell, it was burning. But nothing could extinguish their lust. Lucian slammed her against a tree, growling. "This is wrong! The ritual isn't complete. We're risking the child." Emily moaned into his mouth. "Then take me gently, or don't take me at all." He grinned like a beast unleashed. With aching tenderness, he sank to his knees, kissing the inside of her thighs, his breath teasing her dripping heat. "You're so wet for me it hurts." Her fingers gripped his hair as he sucked her clit, slow and rhythmic, making her sob his name. When she came, he lapped up every drop like it was sacred. Then, standing, he pressed his forehead to hers, entered her slowly, inch by exquisite inch, groaning as her walls pulsed around him. She held him, whispering, "Don't stop. Never stop." They moved together under the stars, their bodies slick with sweat and blood, moans lost in the wind. Each thrust sent ripples of magic through the air. When they climaxed together, the forest erupted in light. Their love made the trees sing. But the consequences came swift. The sky turned black. The moon cracked red. Seraphina appeared in a blaze of fire. "You broke the vow!" she screamed. "Now he will come!" Lucian shielded Emily. "Who's coming?" Seraphina's voice shook. "The Crimson Alpha." Your father, Lucian, froze. "He's dead!" "No!" Seraphina hissed. "You were his heir! You fled before your awakening! Now that you've bonded and conceived a hybrid child with the Blood Moon Witch, your father will come to claim the child and destroy you." Thunder rolled. A portal of fire opened in the woods. Out stepped a towering figure cloaked in shadow, with eyes like burning coals. "Lucian!" the creature growled. "You've broken sacred law!" "And I've come to correct it." Lucian's rage boiled. "I'm not yours! You lost me when you murdered my mother!" The Crimson Alpha sneered. "She was weak, like your witch!" Emily stepped forward, fire swirling around her. "Say one more word about me, and I'll rip the bones from your mouth." The Crimson Alpha laughed. "You think you can protect him? Protect your child? The boy you carry is a curse? Lucian shifted into his wolf form, muscles rippling, teeth bared. But even in his mightiest form, he was no match for the Crimson Alpha's ancient power. In a flash, the Elder Alpha struck, sending Lucian flying across the clearing. Emily screamed. Magic flared from her hands as she fought back, launching blasts of red fire. But he absorbed them, laughing. You are strong, witch, but not strong enough. Just as he moved in to strike Emily down, Lucian rose, bloodied but alive. Touch her, and I'll end you. Lucian's body glowed with light. The mating bond, once forbidden, had unlocked the full force of his bloodline. The Crimson Alpha snarled, You're not ready. Lucian smirked. I don't need to be. They collided with the force of thunder. Fists, claws, fangs. Emily wept as she watched the man she loved bleed to protect her and their child. She joined the fight, her magic fusing with Lucian's strength in a display of breathtaking fury. Together they drove the Crimson Alpha back inch by inch until his form cracked like glass and exploded into smoke. Lucian collapsed to his knees, shaking. Then, suddenly, the wind stopped. Their unborn child pulsed once more, and in the wind, a whisper came. He's not gone. He's only begun to awaken. Lucian barely had time to catch his breath. The clearing lay in ruins, scorched earth, shattered trees, and the lingering scent of burnt fur. Emily held him tightly, her body pressed to his bloodied chest, both of them trembling from the battle. Suddenly, a strange pulse came from within her womb. Emily gasped, clutching her belly. He's shifting, she whispered. Lucian, our child, he's shifting inside me. Lucian's eyes widened. That's impossible, he's not even born yet. A glow spread across Emily's skin. Her breath quickened. Desire flared between them, hot and uncontrollable. She moaned as heat pooled between her legs, the bond between their souls surging with primal need. Lucian, still wounded, felt his hunger for her spike. His eyes turned black with lust. She ripped open his pants. I need you inside me. Now. Without hesitation, Lucian lifted her onto his lap and plunged into her wet heat. She cried out as he filled her completely. Their bodies moved in sync, grinding against each other as lightning cracked above them. Each thrust sent sparks through the earth. She rode him with abandon, her head thrown back in ecstasy. Lucian, harder! Their child pulsed again, stronger, feeding off their power. But deep in the shadows, something stirred. As Lucian's cock pounded into Emily, another presence awakened. A shadow curled beneath the soil. Eyes opened, black, ancient, and starving. The love they shared, the pleasure, the mating bond, it had broken the final seal. The demon within, Lucian's true bloodline, had awakened. Back in the clearing, Emily convulsed in his arms. Her body shimmered, then twisted. Her nails grew into claws. Her moans became feral growls. Something inside me is waking. Lucian slowed, concern flooding his expression, but her body clamped around him, refusing to let him go. Don't stop! I need more! Her pupils split. She clawed down his back as he thrust into her, deeper than ever. Magic crackled around them, the ground splitting open beneath their bodies. Suddenly, the orgasm struck, hard and furious. Emily screamed, her magic exploding outward, sending a shockwave that echoed into the heavens. Lucian came with a roar, releasing into her as their energies fused. But then, the earth opened beneath them, and they fell. They awoke in darkness, a realm of shadows and bone. The sky was black, blood dripped from the trees, and at the center stood a throne made of skulls. Sitting atop it was Lucian, but not the Lucian she knew. His eyes were soulless, his smile was cruel. You've entered my dominion, The demonic voice rasped. I am the blood you denied, the demon you buried. I am the first alpha of hell. Emily gasped. Lucian, what is this? The real Lucian, standing beside her, growled. That thing is me, my true inheritance, my curse. The demon Lucian grinned. And your child belongs to me. Suddenly shadows bound Emily's limbs, spreading her legs apart. She screamed, struggling, naked and exposed. Lucian tried to fight, but he was chained by fire. The demon leaned down, licking Emily's cheek. I can smell your climax still lingering. He's strong, tainted, perfect. Emily spat in his face. Touch me, and I'll burn this world down. Lucian's rage boiled into madness. With a howl that shattered the infernal chains, he shifted into his alpha form. Larger, faster, darker than before. Fangs gleaming, he lunged at his demonic self. The two Lucians clashed, one light, one shadow. Each strike shook the realm. Meanwhile, Emily broke free, her magic swirling like a bloodstorm. She summoned every spell, every drop of willpower, and focused it into her womb, protecting her child. Her body levitated, glowing with divine light. Then, her back arched in pleasure pain. She began to give birth. The sky split. Lucian, battling his darker self, heard her scream, Emily! But she didn't stop. Between moans and contractions, she yelled, You can't stop this! This child is salvation! As blood poured from between her legs, the realm trembled. The demon howled, No! He's mine! Then Emily screamed one final time, and the baby was born. Light exploded through the realm. The child glowed golden in Emily's arms, eyes wide open, no longer a baby, but a glowing entity of raw, pulsing energy. The demon Lucian tried to reach for him, but the child lifted his hand, and with a silent wave, obliterated him. The throne shattered. The realm burned. And Lucian and Emily were pulled into the light, screaming, clutching each other as the demon world collapsed. They awoke in their bed, gasping. Emily held their newborn son, now sleeping peacefully. Lucian, soaked in sweat, whispered, Was it a dream? No, Emily said. It was a warning. Because when she looked at their son, he opened his eyes, half gold, half black. The demon within lived on.